What's up everybody and welcome to today's Tableau walkthrough. In this video, we're going to build our first dashboard. And dashboards is a way to tell a story using all the worksheets that you've created over a specific period of time. And when we're creating a dashboard, this is going to tell a story, build interactivity, and gives some flexibility to what the user actually wants to see and how you want the user to actually see the data that you're actually showing. So before we get started in the creation of a dashboard, the first thing that we need to do is to open our Tableau application. The second thing we need to do is connect our data source. So we're going to go to the left panel, scroll down to Save Data Sources, and click on the Sample Superstore data source. Once you click on the Sample Superstore data source, you should have your first worksheet that looks like this. A dashboard is a collection of worksheets. And to create a dashboard, you need multiple worksheets. You could use one, but in this particular case, we're going to use three worksheets. And they're all going to be related around profit and the profit of our store. The first one is going to be profit by category. The second one is going to be profit by segment. And then the last one is going to be customer details. So let's start with the first one. The first one we're going to create is a line chart in reference to profit by category. So to do this, we're going to first drag profit to the column section. And then we're going to drag order date in the rows section. And now we have a weird looking line chart. But in this particular case, we're going to navigate to the show me panel. And the line chart that we actually want, this is lines discrete, but we're going to go with the actual just lines continuous. This will actually change once you click on it. Once you click on this particular line chart, it will actually change your value into this chart, but this feels very simple, even though we could look at profit over time. But let's say we want to segment the data by category, like we stated before. We go to the data pane. Next to product, you click this arrow. Then you drag category into the color under marked card. Now you have the profit by category and date over time. So we're going to name this worksheet by just clicking the worksheet or sheet 1 at the bottom, typing profit by category, then pressing enter. And this is going to be our first chart for our dashboard. Now it's time to add another worksheet. To add another worksheet, you need to go to the bottom tab bar, and right next to the previous worksheet we just created, we need to click on this icon. This icon is to add an additional worksheet to your workbook. So I'm going to click this icon, and when you hover over it, it says new worksheet. And now you should have a sheet 2 that is added to your Tableau workbook. The next visualization that we're going to add related to profit is profit by segment. So let's say we want to know or understand the profit by segment, and also to correlate it with the previous line chart, we're also going to color code it based on the category. So the first thing we need to do is add segment to the rows, and we're going to add profit, which is on the data pane, drag that to the column shelf. And now we have the horizontal bar chart. But let's say we want to get it to a vertical bar chart. All we need to do is navigate to the Show Me on the right, click the stack bar chart, and it should automatically change it to vertical. That's actually not what we wanted, so I'm going to do Control Undo. To change it to vertical, we can actually click this Swap Rows and Columns icon. Just so you have visual, let me zoom into what I clicked into here. This is the Swap Rows and Columns in your visualization. Let me go back out. Now you have a vertical bar chart. And now let's say we want to get some more details on this data visualization by adding a category. We're going to add a category just by dragging category over the color in the March card. Now we have a key that shows us the breakdown by category, but also it allows us to see bar chart by segment. So we have the consumer, the corporate, and the home office. We know the profit, and it's split by category. So now we have a bar chart by segment, which shows the profit for each segment, divided and color coded by category. And now let's name our worksheet in our bar chart. To do this, I'm going to do it a little different than the last time. I am going to right click the title, click edit title. I'm going to delete this sheet name. You can highlight it, press backspace or delete. Then I'm going to name it profit by segment. I'm going to copy this so that I have that to also rename the sheet. Press OK. We have that name here, and then we're going to go down to sheet 2, double click this, and copy that there. And now you should have profit by category and a profit by segment worksheet. You just press enter. Now we're going to create our last and final visualization, which is going to be the customer details. To create the new worksheet, you do the same thing. You'll click this icon at the bottom left that says new worksheet icon. Now you should have a new worksheet named sheet 3. And to create a table with customer name and profit, all you need to do is drag customer name into rows. So now you have a list of customer names. Then you need to navigate to the data pane and drag profit to the text value under the March card. You drop that in there. Now you have the customer name and the profit, but I want to format this column into dollar signs. And to do that, you need to click profit, sum profit under the March card. Go down to format. Then under the default pane, you want to click the number, click currency custom. Now you have currency. I want to do whole numbers just to make it a cleaner look. So I'm going to put 0, just round everything up. And then I'm okay with the negative values showing as parentheses. I'm going to click off the screen so that I can have access back to the worksheet. And we're going to name this worksheet customer details. So if I go down to where sheet 3 was, type in customer details, press enter. We are now done with the creation of the 3 worksheets that we're going to use in our dashboard. So the next thing we need to do is create a dashboard. At the bottom of our workbook, where this bottom toolbar is, there's a new dashboard icon. That new dashboard icon looks like 3 cubes connected to each other with that plus sign. So this is the new dashboard icon. This is what you're going to use to start the creation of a new dashboard. So you need to click that icon. Now you have access to a blank dashboard workspace. And what we're going to do today is add these 3 sheets that we created to the dashboard. And the first thing I like to do is visualize how I would create my dashboard. So let me zoom out just a little bit so you can see the whole view. And the way that I want to create these particular dashboard is to have my line chart at the top. I'm going to have my bar chart at the bottom. Let's just say line. And then my bar chart at the bottom. Then my table is going to take up this side of my dashboard. So easier said than done, but this is just a general structure, just so I have that in my mind, that visual image, so that I can move forward and actually create my dashboard. Before creating the dashboard, I want to make sure that you are familiar with the layout and what you're actually working with when it comes to building a dashboard. First, let's navigate to the left pane. If we navigate to the left pane, we have the dashboard and the layout pane. And so these are very different. The first thing that you'll see under there, the dashboard pane, is the default view. So this is how you actually view your dashboard. It has a phone option. Sometimes you may be viewing, or maybe your customers may be viewing your dashboard on the phone. Then you have the size, which allows you to change based on the needs of the customer. And the next thing you have is the sheets that you created to add to your dashboard. And the final thing are the objects. There are several different objects that you can actually work with. The first one is going to be the horizontal container. The horizontal container and the vertical container is just a way to group related objects together, and also a kind of way to structure your dashboard. This is what I kind of like to use when I'm building my dashboard. This is what I start off with. Then you have text to add titles, annotations, explanations, and even headers. Then you have the image, which allows you to add any type of visualization or URL to your dashboard. Then you have also web page, which allows you to display target pages that gives context to your dashboard. You also have this blank. So it's just kind of gives you spacing between some dashboard items that you might need. There's so much more that we could talk about, but these are the main object that we're going to use to build out our dashboard. The next thing down here is the tiled aspect and the floating aspect. The major difference between these, the tiled makes your dashboard more fixed. Floating, you have more flexibility to move each object around. I like tiled because it'll stay formatted no matter what different size or product that you actually use. So you don't have to reformat it if you're going to a different phone or a different device. Now let's talk about the layout pane. So the layout pane is right next to the dashboard pane. This is just showing you everything that might be on your dashboard and how it's actually laid out. So if there was something on there, we'll be able to click it and it'll show what is actually on it. It'll show title. If you want to show the title, it'll show you the position, the width, the height of the object. If you want to add a border, outer padding, inner padding, then this is actually the thing that's going to help you organize your dashboard. This is going to be the item hierarchy. And once we start adding things into the dashboard, I'll let you know how to get a better understanding of the item hierarchy. So right now, all we have in our item hierarchy is dashboard one, which is just the dashboard that we created. Now let's move on to the creation of the dashboard. This is the moment that everybody's been waiting on. Let's go into the dashboard panel. Now we have the three sheets that we care about. Let me drag this over so that you can see the full names of this. You can do the same. This is the size of our dashboard. The first thing, I just kept it as desktop browser. I'm just going to leave it as default, even though you can change it from fixed size to automatic to a range. So automatic means that it'll automatically change based on the device, and range is just a specific fixed range that you decide to input. I'm going to keep it at fixed size and the default browser just to keep it that way and keep it simple for this particular example. And like I said, I'm going to first add a container, specifically a vertical container, because I want the line chart and the bar chart to be right on top of each other, and vertical containers allow us to do that. So I'm going to drag this into my dashboard. I'm transferring my vertical container onto my dashboard, and I'm going to drag and drop the container here. And this is when things get interesting. I'll navigate to the layout just to show you how the item hierarchy actually changed. Now you can see the item hierarchy changed. It now shows tiled. And if you hit this drop down arrow right next to it, you'll see that there's a vertical container that is added. So I'm going to keep coming back and forth between dashboard and layout to show you after each time how the item hierarchy actually changes. Going back to dashboard, I am going to now add my first chart, which is going to be the line chart. I'm going to add the line chart into my vertical container. So you see it's highlighting blue. That's fine. We're going to drag that in. Now we have our profit by category line chart added to our dashboard, and then it automatically brought up the category key, which is going to be useful for us because also in the profit by segment bar chart. But first, let's see how this impacted our item hierarchy. If we go to layout and then go to item hierarchy, now we have a horizontal container, which makes things side by side, makes worksheets sit side by side. Under the horizontal container, we have two vertical containers. The first vertical container contains the profit by category. So if you click it, it automatically highlights it. So this is also an easy way to access what you got on your dashboard. Then under the second vertical container, you have the category key. For this particular case, because I know I'm going to have a lot of moving pieces and I may need this category key to be more dynamic, I'm going to make this object a floating object. And to do that, first have to click on category, make sure that it's gray and highlighted. You have this box here, and right next to this box is a down arrow. I click this down arrow for more options, and then I will go to floating. This will allow it to be floating instead of fixed in a tile format. If I put floating, now it's just hovering. Now it's outside. It's still on a dashboard, but it's just hovering over all the data. And so we're just going to move it to the top at the moment. Then we'll figure out what's the best placement for it after I add the other visualizations. Now you can see how our item hierarchy changed. Categories at the top, and then we still have the tiled structure with a horizontal container, two vertical containers, but one is empty and one has the profit by category. Now let's go back to the dashboard pane. We're going back into the dashboard pane. Now, like I said, I wanted the bar chart to be under the line chart to just give another level of detail on profit. So to do that, I'm going to drag the profit by segment. It needs to be in this square, this blue square that's provided, which is our vertical container, and it needs to be right under the year of order date. So you need to make sure that it's highlighted. It can be very finicky. It needs to be where it's highlighted right under there, just that little half, and that's going to add it to the bottom of our vertical container. So if we drop it there, now we have two of the three worksheets added to our dashboard. And now we're going to add the last piece to our dashboard, which is the customer detail. This is just going to give us another level of granularity by customer. So this is going to be profit by customer, but just another level of granularity. And what we're going to do, since we already have a vertical container created, but let's go back to the layout to see our structure currently. As you can see, this is exactly what we wanted. We wanted a horizontal container so that things can be side by side. We have a vertical container where we have profit by category and the profit by segment chart on top of each other, stacked on top of each other. And then we have an empty vertical container. This is where we're going to add our customers details table. The first thing that we want to do is go back to the dashboard pane. We're going to drag customer details into the vertical container, the empty vertical container, and we can drag it, drop it here. Once it's highlighted, you see this little blue rectangle, you should be in a good place, and drop it here and you should be good to go. Now, there's a little bit of weird structure where you can't really see the table. The line chart might be a little bit too big. The bar chart might be a little bit too small. So let's just structure it so that we can have a better flow in our dashboard. When I'm structuring my dashboard, I like to go to the layout pane because the layout pane is going to give me a lot of information of everything that I have and I'm currently working with. And I can easily click a particular object and have access to it. But the first object that I care about editing is the table. I want to make the width a little bit longer. So I'm going to make the width of the table just a little bit so I can see the table a little bit more. Now now that it's wider, it doesn't really fit the data visualization very well. So to make it fit, I'm okay with scrolling down to see the levels of details between the customers. But to make it fit the width, because right now it's got more space and we can see the value, but it doesn't really fit the data visualization. We got a lot of white space in this area. To fix that width, we can either click here and hit fit width, or the other option is, if you don't have access to that, you hit down, you go to fit, and then you get more options and you can say fit width. You also have fixed height, which means that it'll fit the height of the object, and you can do an entire view. So you make sure that all the data is in it. But we're just going to fit width because we don't care about actually scrolling through the data. That's okay. That's just another thing to do. Now we have access to the customer details data, but also it fits the visualization a little bit better. The next thing that we may want to change is where this floating object is. I feel like there's a lot of white space here. This is a category key for both the profit by category and profit by segment. And since the color code is the same, which is a nice feature to have to make sure your color code is the same, we can just drag this anywhere we want. First, if we highlight it, we can highlight it through this item hierarchy, and then we can drag it and place it right here. There's empty space here, so let's put it here. Now, I feel like it is in a good place. We have a dashboard. It looks pretty structured. It's formatted pretty nicely. But let's say these were a little bit uneven. Let's say we made this bar chart really large and it kind of takes over the place. That's okay. We can fix that pretty easily. We know that the bar chart and the line chart are under this vertical container, which is on our layout pane here. We can click this, and then If we click the down arrow for more options right next to that layout, we can say distribute the contents evenly. So this allows us to distribute all the objects in this container evenly throughout. So let's hit this and it'll automatically even out the objects in our container. The last thing we're going to do today is add a title. We need to add a title to this. So to add a particular title to our visualization in our dashboard, let's go to dashboard. Then we can just hit show dashboard title. I'm going to zoom in just so you can see it a little bit better. It's right under tiled and it's going to say show dashboard title. You click that and it works similar to a worksheet where the name of the worksheet is the title of the visualization. So first, let's click show dashboard title. And then if we scroll down to the dashboard one, or we right click this, we can hit edit title, which will do the same prompt as a sheet, but I want to do both at once. So I'm going to click the dashboard one at the bottom and I'm going to type my first dashboard, press enter. Now you have created your first dashboard in Tableau. You should feel accomplished. I hope you do. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.